Hello, my name is Nathan Nass with Briteworks International Inc., a family company that's been in business for over 3 generations, doing artisan metalwork worldwide. Today I'm going to introduce to you 2 products we couldn't live without. The first one being Briteworks Metal Polish, and the second one, Briteworks Metal Preservative. Now these 2 products have been used extensively throughout the cruise line industry for over 2 decades. And I'll show you the reason why. Today we're going to do some samples, get you familiar with the product, show you the ins and outs of what we do when we're on site doing restoration in a professional manner. That gives you the tips to go ahead and give you a little edge, so to speak. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to actually go ahead and sample for you today is the stainless steel. Now you have all different kinds of grades. Here we have a stainless steel that is a little inferior to the piece right next to it. This is a 304 piece that's been out in the elements for over 10 years. Now you can see there's only a little bit of surface rust on there. It's in real good shape. This other piece, not so much. And that's why anytime you're dealing with any type of metal at all, you'll know whether it's the good stuff or not, because the inferior metals that are made with inferior fillers, steel molecules, all that sort of thing, it'll start pitting on you. And that's exactly what it's done with this piece we have in front of us. So, just to get you a little bit familiar with the tools of the trade, we have little plastic chemical treated containers where you could pick up at any hardware store. You got the 3M Scotch-Brite 961 handle. Now they always don't come like this, but if you go to any big box retailer, this is probably what they're going to come packaged as. What you want to do is right away open it up, take this Scotch-Brite. This is heavy duty stuff that's only meant to be used on the food preparation grills in your grill or in your oven. Don't use it, you'll damage anything you touch with it otherwise. So get rid of that. Keep your handle up here. We like to use the Scotch-Brite sponge pads because they're forgiving. And the reason being is, I'll show you in a minute why we use these. We also use a white pad, but that we're not going to get into in this segment because that requires a little bit more skill. We want to keep it as simplified as possible. We also have a microfiber cloth right here. This is perfect to use on soft coppers and brass paneling, and I'll get to that later. We also have safety gloves. The product is, both of them are both chemically safe as far as non-hazardous, non-flammable, and they will not destroy anything that they touch on their own. If you add thinners or something, which we aren't getting into today, then you have the issue of having to worry about your carpets, your soft goods, painted surfaces, stained surfaces. But these we have just in case if you're a corporation and you have your employees. Litigation-wise, we recommend always using them. If you're a homeowner and you're just doing something around the house and you're not going to use the product day after day, you know, the hands are fine. That's what we always use. But if you have pretty nails and so forth and so on, you can use the gloves. Feel free. Just make sure that they're similarly tight to the hand so you don't have a whole lot of flabbiness going on. Next, we have just a regular chip brush. This is a regular paintbrush. That's what we're going to use to apply the product on some of these pieces that have been neglected, where they got the real big heavy tarnish. We're going to actually marinate those and let the product do the work, so we'll save on the elbow grease. Then we have a standard toothbrush, and what we use that for is some of the ornate kind of pieces where they're cast and you need to kind of scrub in between. Then we have a couple of different buff systems that you can put on a drill. There's a lot of companies that make them. And whatever you decide to choose, just remember, whatever surface you're using on them, if they're copper or brass, it's very soft material. So you want to make sure you have a real soft buff, because you will leave buff marks in there, especially with the new metals these days. They're not made like the antique metals of 30 or 40 years ago. Now they're smelted together with inferior alloys, tins, and coppers. And so that's a real particular issue where we get into these kind of rags. We'll use a diaper cloth because the diaper cloth is the softest cloth that is available to us. That's what all the Harley-Davidson gentlemen use on their bikes because that minimizes the scratches. We also have a terry cloth towel. And that's what we usually do the work with on the satin finished stainless steel. You could even use it if it's soft enough on your coppers and brasses. Just don't get too aggressive when you're coming to those softer metals. Okay, so now that we're kind of familiar with everything that we're using in order to accomplish what the purpose is we're driving at, we'll move on to the next segment.